as human beings, we have to make sense of the world. We have to give ourselves a purpose. We can't just, think like you're just here waiting to live your life, expire, and then there's nothing afterwards. Okay, so we have all this kind of like an always existential crisis. Like, we fear death. A lot of people do.
Okay.
And we give ourselves a belief, and I do believe, religion can do that. God can do that. Whatever belief gets you by to make it through the world. It's part of faith.
How you doing? You happen to have time for a short interview?
Sorry, what?
Do you happen to have time for a short interview?
For a short preview?
Interview.
About?
I don't know yet. You actually get to pick.
Okay, sure.
Yeah? Want
Yeah.
to give it a try? Okay.
Let's do it, I guess.
So I'm doing something called Street Epistemology. What I do is I ask people to pick something that they're passionate about, something that they're like a particular stance, a belief, a political. It can be pretty much anything.
Okay.
Something that you're fairly certain is true, or you're like it affects your life in some way that you're really confident in. And so what I do is I ask questions to uncover not only what it is you're believing, but also why and how you came to conclude that.
Oh man, you're asking like the wrong person.
Everyone's got something.
Nope. That's nothing that comes to mind that I'm really passionate about. Definitely not.
Okay. Well, I can give you some examples
Okay.
of like typical topics. So like a popular one is I believe prayer works, or I believe a God exists, or I believe a God doesn't exist. Those are supernatural. It's kind of like a lot of people like to talk about that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. I talked to someone about they believe karma is real and happening. Some people believe in jinxing, like if you can jinx something, or you what is it called? Ojo, like where you, like if you touch someone or look at someone, it affects their.
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
I'm surprised you know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it can be really anything, or it could be like I believe President Trump is the best president ever. Or, anything that you are fairly certain of.
Okay. I believe in the universe, not as I believe it's like a living energy, like a living organism that affects all of us.
Okay, we can talk about that.
Okay.
All right. Are you okay if I record it?
Sure.
Okay. So I got this camera for you. That camera's on me. If you want to step right over here, and we can get going. What was your name?
Cynthia.
Cynthia?
You need my last name?
No.
Okay.
This is just like a hobby. It's not like
So what are you going to do with this?
I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel where I upload like the talks. Been doing it for like, I think a little less than 3 years. So, yeah. All right. So, Cynthia, how do you spell that?
Cynthya.
Okay, good. I'm glad I asked because that's not normally how people spell it.
I know.
Okay, so we're going to talk about your belief that the universe is living.
It has. Okay, how to explain this? It's like a living organism.
Okay.
It has an energy that impacts us all.
Universe.
Yeah.
Is a living organism. Okay. So I want to get a sense of your confidence that this is accurate. This is true. From like 0 to 100.
Well, confidence and accuracy are two different things.
Okay.
Am I confident? Yeah, but that's my belief. Doesn't mean it's a fact.
Okay. So like, if 0% was, I have no confidence this is true. I have all questions. I'm not even really sure at all that this is actually true. 100% meaning, I have all confidence, no question. I can't be mistaken about it. In fact, I'm not even open to being wrong about this. Where would you fall on that scale?
I would say 95%.
95.
Just because I am confident, it's my belief, but I'm always open to other things. Like, I'm not saying I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, I gotcha. So what is the main reason or the main reasons you believe this to a 95% confidence?
because I do believe there is a higher power. If it's God necessarily, you want to call it that, yes.
Okay.
I believe in God, yes. But I do believe that the universe it's more driving it.
Okay.
So the energy that we put out as human beings, because our souls are energy.
Okay.
Part of an energy. So, and that just affects everything. What you put out is what you get. And I mean, I don't believe that things just randomly happen. I think the universe kind of drives the force, and I think black holes have a play in that.
Okay.
So, just because they suck everything.
Okay. I'm just going to repeat back what you said,
Okay.
just to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
Mhm.
And if I'm misunderstanding you, just let me know.
Okay.
So you're saying the main reason or reasons that you believe that the universe is a living organism is your belief in a higher power, and you look around and you don't see things that are random. You see things like orchestrated. Would that be?
No. I don't know how to explain this, just because I've never had to explain it. So you're a person. You're a human being.
Right.
Okay. So you're a living organism as well.
Right. I agree.
Okay. Perfect. And the universe has Earth and a lot of solar planets, stars, everything. All of that is matter, atoms, energy.
Okay.
Okay, so in a sense, we're all connected.
Okay. So we're connected in the things that we're made up of? We're all made up of atoms and energy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a force. We're a force.
Gotcha.
We coincide together.
So would you say that matter can be non-living?
Yeah.
How do we distinguish between what matter is living and what matter is not living?
Basic functions like a rock. I mean, it has matter, but it's not a living matter.
Okay.
Differences besides this. Did it come from a living organism, the Earth? Yeah, but we mined it to make it a tool.
So I guess my question is, if we were to come up with some criteria that we could, like, if we were on like a factory line and things are coming down the conveyor belt and we had to go living, not living, 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 not living, not living, how could we quickly distinguish between the two?
Let's see. How can we distinguish immediately? That's hard to say. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's not something that we can figure out right away?
I don't think so.
Okay. So
You're thinking of it very methodical, and it's not.
Oh, okay.
That's why I say random. It's not like a process. It's a being. Just like you make certain actions, you can decide to do this and do something else, or something totally different. The universe works the same way.
So you said that like a rock would be an example of something that's not living, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the rock a part of the universe?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would be a more accurate statement? The universe is made up of living and non-living matter,
Yeah.
or the universe is living?
Both.
Okay. Is all of the universe living collectively?
Yes.
So the rock would be included in
It's
that?
part of it, yes.
Okay, so the rock is living.
Sure, if you want to put it that way.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, if everything in the universe is living, in some like whatever definition that means, what does it mean to be not living? If everything in the universe is living, how could we discover if we came across something that was not living? What does that look like?
It all varies. It depends.
Like, let's say hypothetically, I'm not saying this is the case, but let's say hypothetically that you're mistaken about everything being living in the universe.
Okay.
How might we go about discovering that? What could we discover to go, oh, here's an example of something that's not living?
Okay. So obviously you want me to distinguish it. You want me to find some criteria. Lack of energy.
Lack of energy.
Yes.
Okay.
Absence of energy.
Absence of energy. Okay, got it. And so that would mean that anything that does have energy is living.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what is an example of something without energy? That pole. That pole does not have energy.
No, but in the universe grand scheme of things, let me think, what doesn't have energy? An asteroid.
An asteroid. Okay.
Yes. Is that, I know there's a different word for it when it's in space, and then a different word once it hits our
Meteor?
meteor.
I don't know. I think it's the other way around. I think asteroid is like
Whatever's in space.
right, and then a meteor is it enters the atmosphere.
So
I don't really know.
I don't know.
But I know
I'm
those two
trying to
words.
confirm. Yeah, asteroid. Let's go.
Okay. So
Yeah, it's just like a floating rock, sorta.
Okay.
I mean, it has different components, but does it have some sort of energy? No, I think whatever's around it in space, in the universe, drives it to do something else, or pushes it in a different direction, or pushes it to come to our, what is that word? Earth's surface, not ozone layer.
atmosphere?
Atmosphere, thank you.
Okay. So an asteroid doesn't have energy. It's
driven, like
pulled by
Yeah.
gravitational pull.
Sure, if you want to call it gravitational, just different
Okay.
energy, planets,
Okay.
forces, gravity, non-gravity.
Okay. So if this asteroid came into contact with a planet and is like, boom,
Yeah.
would you say that the impact of that asteroid, the energy was created from
The universe.
the universe?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the difference between a rock in space and a rock on Earth? Let me clarify. Does a rock on the Earth have energy?
No.
Okay, so rock is not living.
No.
Okay. So what does something in the universe with, like in space, if something was in space and it was living and had energy, how could we, what is an example of that?
A star. Stars, they have energy.
Okay.
Planets, even uninhabitable planets, have energy.
Okay. How do we test for energy and not energy? What do we look for? We can't put it on a conveyor belt, but
I guess something that can drive something. That doesn't make any sense when I explained it. So let's go back to the asteroid and the rock.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's there, okay?
Okay.
Space, or here on Earth,
Right.
or wherever you can imagine a rock, okay? It's gonna stay there until something
pulls it?
pulls it,
Okay.
moves it, drives it, okay?
Okay.
What was your question?
I think I understand what you're saying. You're saying that things that don't pull but are pulled
Right. So,
aren't.
Yeah. So a tree has energy because it has its own force. We have energy because we we decide our own actions.
Okay.
The universe has energy because it's always moving. It's always living. There's energy around it that's pushing other things like asteroids in space
Okay.
to do other things.
So let me ask this. Hypothetically, if you were to discover that an asteroid does have a pull, it's not as strong as a planet, but it does have a pull that pulls in dust, or
Awesome.
would that be, if we discovered that, would that be an example of the asteroid having energy?
Yeah.
And it would be living?
Yeah.
Okay.
Things can be fluid.
Interesting. So, from my understanding of cosmology and all that, all matter, everything, has a pull.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of how much pull. So, like, for example, we have a pull. Like the smallest little particles we do pull in, but it's just so small compared to the entire Earth.
Okay.
So, like, a good example would be like the moon. It affects the tides,
Right.
comes in, comes out. It's not as strong as the Earth. The Earth is pulling the moon, and the sun is pulling the Earth and stuff like that. So it's like, how do I say it? It's just a matter of degree. How much mass you have determines how much pull you have. Okay. So I guess that would mean that the universe is, in fact,
A living organism.
living, because everything has a pull.
Okay.
Okay. So when we talk about something being living, what you mean is, does it have a gravitational pull?
No, not necessarily. It doesn't have to do with gravity.
Oh, okay. So what kind of pull?
Just,
Sorry.
I don't know, like a force, an energy. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay.
I just know. Because let's take it a little more mundane, I guess.
Okay.
Correlate it to us as human beings.
Okay.
When we die, our soul has an energy.
Okay.
Right? And popular belief is either you go to heaven or hell, or afterlife if you believe in that. Whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm following.
So, it must go somewhere. It gets scattered through the universe. It's still, the person's gone, the physical person's gone,
Okay.
but that energy just goes to the universe.
Can the body be determined to have energy? Or is it not quite the same energy?
No, this is just like a human suit,
So, like, a body does not have energy?
Or, because we're alive now, yes it does. But once we die, no, it doesn't.
Ah, okay. So how can we measure whether something has energy or not?
Beats me.
So if we can't necessarily determine whether something has energy or not, how do we know that energy is leaving the body? Or that this soul is...
Function.
What do you mean?
There's no more... Okay, if the soul leaves the body, your body doesn't function anymore. It just stays there, like a rock.
Okay.
Like, body, boom. It's not going to be moving unless someone else comes and moves it.
Okay. So, like, does rain and water have a soul?
It has energy. But if you want to call it soul, sure.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is the energy that we call soul. How do we determine that it's really there? Like, how do we determine?
You don't. That's why it's a belief, and that's when you're talking about my belief.
Oh, okay.
I stated in the beginning that this isn't a fact. You're asking me what am I 100% like
Yeah.
my belief. So this is my belief.
Oh, okay. So we don't really necessarily have a way to, like, tell if a soul is out there. It's not like we can go measure that energy and go, oh, there it goes, and it's here, it's not here, it's...
Right. But I think we all want to believe to a certain point that there is. I mean, that's why a lot of people are into, like, ghosts and paranormal and spirits and, you know, signs from the afterlife or whatever.
Can someone want to believe something, but that something not be true?
Yeah, of course. Always.
So if we don't necessarily have a way to, like, confirm or validate this belief in a living soul with energy, if we don't necessarily know how to tell whether it's there or not there, or if it's, you know, stuff like that, but we believe it because we want to believe it, is it possible that there is just no soul?
Yeah, it could be possible. We don't know that.
Do you think, like, a high level of confidence is warranted for a belief like this?
High level of confidence. What do you mean by that?
Do you think that do you think that we can be reasonable by believing a soul exists to like 80%, 90%, 99%? Is that warranted? Is it justified if we don't have a way to validate it?
Is it justified? Yes.
Okay.
How? Confidence, belief. It's like faith.
Just faith.
Yeah.
Okay.
We rationalize, okay, so as human beings, we have to make sense of the world. We have to give ourselves a purpose. We can't just, you know, think like you're just here waiting to live your life, expire, and then there's nothing afterwards. Okay, so we have all this kind of like an always existential crisis, like, you know, we fear death. A lot of people do.
Okay.
You know, and we give ourselves a belief, and I do believe, you know, religion can do that, God can do that, you know, whatever belief gets you by to make it through the world. It's part of faith, you know?
Okay.
So that's what I mean. Could it not be real? Definitely. Do I know that? No, not until I die. But then I lose my conscience. Like, I will no longer a human being that can, even if I understand it, I won't be able to verbally communicate it to you in English. It'll be an energy that is part of the universe I can be driving different forces. And the reason why I say that, and the reason why I truly believe that now, so I just recently lost my husband, so he died, and at first I thought I was going kind of crazy, you know, because during his service, there was, you know, a lot of people came up to me afterwards saying, like, when they said his name, that, you know, he was going to heaven or whatever, that this hawk flew by, you know, and I didn't see it because I wasn't looking at the sky. I was like crying. But after that, you know, so I've been kind of adjusting, doing me, trying to cope, whatever, grieve, and I would go on drives or whatever, and I would see a hawk, and I'm just like, it's Texas, it's whatever, you know, there's hawks all around us, no big deal. But there was this one point where I met up with a friend, so I did like a 2-hour drive, and I saw hawks, all, like, just a singular hawk. Could it be the same one? No idea. But I saw it all through my drive there, and when I got there, went away, you know, and he was a big word, so I always had to be like, you know, I'm heading out, you know, and he will say drive safely. So I feel like this is his way of, like, making sure I'm okay, you know. And I got there, gone. I did my thing, hanged out with a few hours, got lunch, you know, drove back. Literally, once I get back in my car, my truck, see it all again. No big deal. And so I see hawks, and I literally saw a hawk earlier today, and it was crazy because it swooped in. I was walking on the sidewalk, and it just swooped in, like, it was probably this distance away from me, just circled around and went in the tree, and it was so weird and scary. But I know it's him, you know. So same thing happened to me when I drove over to Austin, 4 hours away, hawks all the way, and I was like, okay, this is not, I'm just crazy, because we are all looking for answers. And I'm like, whatever, don't. It's nature. It's Texas. So I asked my friend, I'm like, are hawks common here? He's like, no, I've never seen a hawk here, ever. So I got there. I was spending, the weekend with her, and I think we went out to go eat, like, we want to go have dinner, and early dinner, lunch, whatever. But I went out, and there was a hawk, like, literally above her car. And I was like, that's crazy. Didn't see a hawk for the rest of the weekend. Leave Austin, see a hawk. Literally, once I'm leaving Austin, all the way back.
So it's only like
Tyler.
It's only like times when you're traveling. Is that what you mean?
I thought that it was, but when I go out to the cemetery, there was this really one point we were putting this blue Lego Mustang on the headstone, and I was talking to my father-in-law about it, like about this hawks thing, that I was seeing them repeatedly. So it's not even when I'm traveling, it's like when I'm out, obviously when I'm outside, because it's a hawk, it can't be indoors. But I told him about it, and a hawk literally flew out over it, and there's times where I've talked to him, because I do talk to him even when he's gone, it helps me. And so there's times where one time I was out there by myself, I'm like, I really miss you, I wish you were here. And a hawk just comes out of nowhere, literally over the gravestone, and just circles around, and I could be doing totally unexpected, and I'll see it, and it'll be there everywhere I go.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. One would be, we kind of talked already for a little bit. I'm not sure if you have enough time. I'd like to kind of explore the hawk thing.
Okay.
If you have time. If you don't, you want. Okay. So the second question would be, I noticed before you started talking about this is that you mentioned that there's this existential dread and people believe things to get through it.
Yeah.
If you were mistaken about the hawk sightings being tied to your past husband, would you want to know it?
Yeah.
Or is it something that you would just need to get through?
No, I want to know it, but that's because I love knowing things.
Okay.
I'm okay being wrong or right. I love knowledge, so I'm totally okay with that.
So, my next question would be...
Can I lean on this? If it's okay if I cover your camera?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So my next question would be, if the hawk thing was never mentioned at the funeral, if it was never presented to you as a correlation between your husband and hawk,
right,
do you think that you would have noticed all those hawks along the way?
Probably not. When someone mentions something, or with someone, you'll just see it a lot more.
Like if I said, for a week straight, if you can just try to think about Toyota Corollas. I'll
see Toyota Corollas everywhere. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
There's
So
probably a word for that to describe that.
I think there is. I don't really know, but I kind of had that same experience where I bought a car in 2009, I think.
Right, and you see it.
A Nissan Rogue, and I'm like, everyone's got this car now. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, how do we eliminate the possibility that someone mentioning the hawk and giving value to that hawk during that really intense emotional time, how do we eliminate the possibility that you're looking for hawks because that's significance now?
I'm not looking for hawks, though. I'm not just like go outside, I'm like, okay, am I going to see a hawk today? No.
Right, but your subconscious mind could be triggered and going, that's important. That's important now.
It could be, yeah, of course.
Like
How can I stop it? At this point, I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Since I've already been exposed to it.
Yeah.
So I think if anything to avoid it would have been like, don't tell me. Or don't let me know.
Like I wouldn't say I consciously was starting to look for different cars the same cars that I just bought. It just happened because this car has more significance now. Now that I bought it.
Right.
So in the same way, even though you may not decide to look for hawks, your brain notices them and says, that's important.
Yeah.
Pay attention pay attention. Oh, there it is again, pay attention. And so it's like a snowball. Not a
Mhm.
snowball, but like a repeated behavior that your brain knows to alert you that I just saw one
Right.
of these. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, we look for answers. We
Mhm.
look for a purpose. We look for something to get us by.
Right. So I guess if you really want to know the truth, even if it's not very comforting, or even if it helps you get through,
Mm-hmm.
you still would want to know it.
Yeah.
How do we figure out whether there's a relationship between the hawk and your past husband, or if it's something that you're
a
just
random hawk.
you're triggering, you're being alerted to?
How do I know?
How do we figure that out?
I don't know. Any ideas?
Nope.
Let me think. How would I know? Well, I guess.
I do have an idea, but go ahead.
Okay. Well. No, tell me your idea.
So maybe you can try really hard to switch the animal and
Okay.
say, all right, every time I see squirrels, probably too. There's squirrels everywhere.
Yeah, give me something that's not common, or something that.
A vulture.
Okay, perfect. Let's do a vulture.
And so maybe do a little mental experiment and go, all right, every time I see a vulture, that's going to be a significance, and see if your brain alerts you.
Okay.
Oh, this is a little. This is not the same though, because now you're actively doing it consciously instead of subconsciously. You know.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like training your brain or something like that. But yeah, there really is no way to like duplicate it.
No, I was thinking the only way I would know that it's not that correlation if I could go without a day without seeing a hawk when I go outside or for a drive. You know, if that doesn't happen, then I know it's not. You know, but it keeps happening.
Okay, so like if you went an entire day without seeing a hawk, it would be something that would kind of lower your confidence that this is, you know.
Not lower my confidence. It's not lower my confidence. It's just I don't know. I don't have any feeling towards it if I don't see a hawk or not.
Have you ever heard the? I'm not sure what the term is actually. It's a gambling term where someone who gambles says, you know, I won this time, I won this time, I won this time, but they never mention the times they lose, and so you count the wins and don't count the losses.
Oh, yeah.
So here's a better exercise.
Okay.
Count how many times you've driven somewhere and haven't seen a hawk.
Okay. And then
Not
count,
just
and then
when.
Count how many when I do see it.
Yeah.
And see if it beats the odds or something.
If it's normal.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Cool.
Can do that.
That's all the questions I have.
Okay. Well.
I didn't really think we were going to get to talk about this when we started at the universe, but it's interesting how these things happen. But
Deep discussions.
yeah, if you ever, if you seriously like do it and you come up with some results, you know, I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
I got my email address right there.
It doesn't have your name though.
Oh, my name's Eddie.
Eddie.
Yeah,
Nice
it's kind of in the
meeting
email.
you.
It's in the email.
Oh.
Yeah, but
I
yeah,
didn't see that. Okay.
All right.
Well, nice seeing you. You have a good day.
you as well.